Good morning, good afternoon to all, and a very warm welcome to ConvertSolve webinar series. We thank you all for taking your time. Today we'll be discussing about data visualization, dynamic versus static reporting for family offices. We'll be talking about some data visualization concepts, data and reporting strategies, current state of reporting family office, why dynamic reporting, and things you should take care of. We will also have a small demo of dynamic reporting. We have planned a Q&A session in the last 5-10 minutes of webinar. Since the time is limited, please send across your questions via chat and we will try to answer as many as we can. We will revert back for the balanced questions via mail. Before starting the webinar, I would like to quickly introduce ConvertSolve to you all. We are a specialized software consulting company focused on providing software solutions and services to family offices, hedge funds, and investment management companies. We also work with fintech companies as their development partners, white labeling different product modules for them. With more than 30 years of experience in financial services, we bring a lot of management consulting and software development pedigree for our clients. Over the last many years, we have developed many reusable assets that helps give our client a jump start in their project. I will now hand over to Jignesh, who will be taking you through the webinar. Jignesh is CEO of ConvertSolve and has around 20+ years of experience in the financial service industry, both from functional and technical standpoint. He has worked with many family office and hedge fund companies and had been running hedge fund practice for EMC Consulting. Over to you, Jignesh.
Thank you, Nihar. Welcome all to the webinar. Since the time is short, I'll start right away into data visualization. There has been lots of buzz these days, and reporting being at the center of it, you may hear lots of terms, things like data, information, analytics, visualization, to name few. Let's focus on data visualization for the sake of simplicity and focus. Data visualization is essentially information that has been abstracted in some schematic form and can potentially turn into knowledge that enables action. It involves the creation and study of visual representation of data. Data visualization's primary goal is to clearly and effectively communicate information using graphs, charts, and information graphics. Done right way, an effective data visualization helps in analyzing information and make complicated data more accessible, understandable, and actionable. I think actionable is the key word here. All right, now we know something about data. All of us have dealt with data in one shape or the other. Let's spend a couple of minutes to understand the decision life cycle and what I call evolution of data. Data by itself is of no use until it becomes information, which in turn needs to be turned into knowledge for making an effective decision. What is data? It's essentially unorganized fact. Think of spreadsheets, documents, or presentations. These are all classic examples of data we touch, feel, and breathe every day. Information, on the other hand, comes up when we organize data in some way, shape, or form, and it will start to have some meaning. For example, an investment has returned 2% for the year. Based on this alone, we have no way to know if it's good, bad, or indifferent. But if we have this information, like return for an investment is 2%, whereas overall portfolio return is 1.8%, now provides more context. More information will still be useful. On the other hand, knowledge is something of an overlooked terminology. Oftentimes people forget about it in a data-centric world that we live and breathe today. Essentially, knowledge is an information that we can touch, feel, and can use to make effective decisions. For an example, the return for an investment is 2%, related benchmark return is 1.5%, and the best return across the asset class is 2.1%, allows us to make and take some decisions. All right, now let's upon some of the trends and current state of reporting in family offices. I like to structure it into three different points: the data sources, the quality of the data, and reporting. As far as the data sources are concerned, there are multiple data sources that are prevalent in family offices, specifically from the third parties like fund admins and the prime brokers or the external fund managers. In addition to the market data and the reference data and the transactional data, these are many of the examples that we work with on a day-to-day basis. Quality of data is one of the most critical and sensitive issue in today's connected world of data. Decisions you make are only as good as the underlying data that supports those decisions. The various data points, proprietary models and methodologies, information overloads, and level of data integration, data flow, and business processes significantly contribute to the data quality. So as the reporting is concerned, most of the family offices are on a monthly reporting cycle, although some forward-thinking family offices, mainly the multifamily offices, are considering shorter reporting cycles. Bigger family offices are using reporting solutions based on third-party products or homegrown ones, but still many of the big single-family offices, and this may surprise you, are still deciding to build some more robust reporting capabilities. Smaller players are still dependent on Excel-based reporting and limited drill-down capabilities. Let's spend a few minutes on reporting and data strategy. One of the questions that will come to many people is how should we go about formulating and executing reporting and data strategy. If you look at the funnel here, there are three aspects of evolution for an organization. It starts with basic reporting, grows to integrated reporting, and culminates into what we call interactive reporting. The critical success factor is what I call triple B model. Basically, you need buy-in, baby steps, and bodies. And I'll explain each one. Like buy-in, essentially you need buy-in from your stakeholders. Without that, you cannot move any further. You need to take what I call baby steps or a phased approach, walk before you run kind of a thing, and incrementally build on top of things. And finally, you need quality resources in order to execute on the strategy. Now let's look at all these three types, different levels of reporting. Basic reporting is the most common one and used by all of us. Think of the spreadsheets and documents and presentations and portals where we see some kind of tabular data, tabular representation of data. Obviously, sourcing of this data tends to be manual, and that makes it very difficult to interpret and make decisions. It obviously is a high touch and higher cost aspects are involved in dealing with this basic reporting. Integrated reporting improves the basic reporting by sourcing the data and making it seamless. Reporting aspect may still be manual and static in nature. Interactive reporting allows straight-through processing for sourcing the data, making it really seamless. Data quality, sensible data quality measures are implemented, and most importantly, it allows your users to answer their questions as they start seeing the data. It obviously gets into low touch and overall lower cost of ownership. All right. This slide, we're talking about your reporting and data strategy. What are the value adds? What I call path to the value picture here. It shows the sequential stages necessary to achieve the value from your data and reporting strategy. And these are all the different phases: data, reporting, analysis, decision, action, that essentially deduce value from your entire value chain. It all starts with having the right data that is complete and accurate. It doesn't matter how advanced your reporting or analysis is if you don't have good, reliable data. If we skip the reporting stage, some seasoned analysts might argue that they don't need any type of reports to do analysis. They just give me raw files and database. While on an individual basis, that might be true for some people, it doesn't work at an organizational level, particularly if you try to democratize your data. What do we need for reporting stage? The most important thing is to understand the data being reported, different dimensions and facts of the data. And also, does it address your user's need, mainly around the time it takes to present the data, critical data points, and presenting those data points in an informative and intuitive fashion. Um, Most companies have abundant reporting, but may be missing the analysis stage. Reporting will rarely initiate action on its own, as analysis is required to help bridge the gap between the data and action. Now, it goes, as you can see, pretty hand in hand with your reporting, and depends heavily on how good and interactive your reports are. Um, Having analysis also doesn't guarantee that good decisions will be taken, that people will actually act on the recommendation, that the businesses will take the right actions, or the teams will be able to execute effectively on those decisions. However, it is necessary step closer to action and the potential value that can be realized through successful data and reporting strategy. Now, the key takeaway, what I call the success factors, are identifying most critical data sources that your organization has, implementing sensible and effective data quality measures, and having or developing interactive reporting for organizations. All right, so let's spend a minute or two on some of the things that you should consider for having data visualization element in your reporting. Honestly, it starts with questions. What are you trying to say? The single most important step you can take to make a great visualization is to know what you're trying to say. With the amount of data available today, anyone can get lost in a world of scatter plots and geocoding. It is vital that your visualization has a purpose and you are selective about what you include in your visualization to fulfill that purpose. How do you know if your visualization has a purpose? Well, ask some questions to find out. Who is your audience? What questions do they have? What answers do you find for them? What other questions does it inspire? What conversation will it result in? At the end of the day, the gut of it is users should take something away from the time they spent on looking at the visualization. Another thing to consider is the type of chart to include in your visualization. Once you have a purpose for your audience in mind, it is time to think about what types of analysis will help you achieve that purpose. For example, trends over time are best represented with line, area, and bar charts. For comparisons and ranking, bar charts are the best. For correlation analysis, bubble chart or the scatter charts are good to use. Another important thing to consider is what I call create effective views. Even if you have chosen the best chart types for your analysis, effective views do not always come naturally. Creating effective views requires effort, intuition, attention to details, and trial and error. Many chart types let you put multiple measures and dimensions in one view. In scatter plots, for example, you can put measures on the X or Y axis as well as on the marks for color, size, or shape. Choosing where to put each measure depends on what kind of analysis are you doing and what are you trying to emphasize. However, as a rule of thumb, what I recommend is to put the most important data on your X or Y axis and the less important ones on the color, size, or shape. Some of the other things you should consider: orient your views for legibility. Organize your views. Consider column versus rows and merging of dimensions. And finally of all, avoid overloading your views, because it really confuses your user if you do that. Last point I think I would like to highlight before we go into demo is what I call interactivity. It really makes a difference in your user experience. Interactivity, it's a very fine line that you need to walk. It can be a difference between a horribly confusing visualization and an all-star analysis. However, unnecessary interactivity can turn an all-star analysis into a useless one. Some of the things to consider, what's called highlights, which shows the relationship between values in a specific area or category, or even across multiple views. Filters are an excellent way to enable multi-level data exploration and user-driven data analysis. Think what you want your filters to do. Try to apply filters to all the views in one dashboard unless there is a strong reason not to do so. Arrange filters in a meaningful order and add dynamic titles that represent the current filter selection. So it's crystal clear to users what filters have been applied. And finally, hyperlinking is a good way to include or provide the information that are either outside of your organization or outside of your dashboard. What I like to sum it up by saying that there is no one-size-fits-all solution, but these guidelines adopted for your organizational situation in the right manner will result in better user experience and engagement. All right. Before we go into demo, what I like to point out is reporting strategy in action. This one is for a big single-family office that has an exposure to multiple asset classes. They had admin products, backstop, in-house static reporting system, and an Excel. Some of the challenges they were facing is a lot of manual touch points, obviously because the reporting was static, and adding any additional data source will result in manual touch point. Visualization of data was not present as it wasn't having any interactive reporting capabilities. Ad hoc fire drills were the norm whenever management questions were asked from the higher management. And they were looking for somebody who can provide them consolidated reporting and data security and a one-stop partner that meet all their software needs. The solution we were able to provide was a holistic one around data management and reporting that allowed seamless straight-through processing, integrating with multiple data sources, and dynamic interactive reporting with drill-down capabilities. Obviously, data security and role-based access was also a cornerstone of the solution that we put in place. With that, I would like to turn over to Nihar for demo.
Thanks, Dinesh. Let us now go through the demo of dynamic reporting, which we have specific to this webinar. We do not have many features of the dynamic reporting that we have developed for some of our other clients in real-life projects, but this should give you a good gist about dynamic reporting. During the demo, we will look at different dynamic reporting properties that Jignesh mentioned about, such as drill down capabilities, hyperlink, filters, charts, etc. Obviously, the data shown in the demo is a dummy data. We are on the screen, we are looking at two dashboards. So let's go to the first dashboard, that is the CIO dashboard. It's a sample representation of what we developed for a large SFO who had backstop as a third-party CRM. While this SFO had static reporting in place, our client wanted a dynamic reporting with drill-down capabilities, wherein they can look at a click different fund data, performances, and other data points as they require. So let's look at some of the properties of dynamic reporting. Let's look at first the filter. Let me select as of date as 07/31/2016. So if you look at this, you will see the data for 07/31/2016. We can see that the dashboard shows asset allocation for that portfolio in terms of different investment strategies that they have, and the performance of the portfolio over a period of time. Now, when we click one of the investment strategies, for example, we are clicking emerging markets, it will show the performance of that particular investment strategy vis-a-vis the portfolio, and further drill down of funds which are linked to that particular investment strategy. We can see in the, at the lower side, we have 3 funds which are linked to emerging markets, and that performance data is seen. Now, if we select a particular fund here, for example, we have selected Kechunga Limited, and if you look at this, it shows the performance of that particular fund vis-a-vis emerging markets, vis-a-vis the overall portfolio performance. So this gives a very, very clear idea to the fund manager about how the fund is performing. Further, we also have a hyperlink using a hyperlink functionality. Below you see for that particular So this is one of the examples of dynamic reporting. One of our other clients, who is again a SFO, wanted some kind of dynamic risk reporting, and we have tried to prepare a sample representation for that. This is like CIO risk dashboard. Let's again go to the filtering stuff, and here I select all asset type first, and I select the as-on date as 12/31/2015. So if you look at the screen, we see as on 12/31/2015 what is the kind of asset allocation, and we also have multiple charts which shows what is the currency allocation for this particular portfolio. The interesting thing is the risk profile. If you look at this, we have the bubble chart in place which shows what's the risk profile for different asset class. For example, if we look at cash, which is the most safe, you will see a small bubble. And similarly, if we go to say alternatives, that is, if you invest in equities, the risk is higher and you see a bigger bubble. So that's how you can look at the risk profile for a particular asset class. Further, how the investment has been made into different sectors, how it has been allocated among sectors, that's what is being shown. Further down, if we go, we can look at what are the rating for the fixed income that you have invested, how you have invested among which are given by different rating agencies, and how for a particular asset class, how different sectors has been performing over a period of time. You also, at the bottom, you have a detailed data for the portfolio. So this is a kind of static reporting to begin with. You have a lot of filtering capabilities as well here. And for example, if you want to look at GBP currency, you can look at the pound. Similarly, if it's USD, you can look at USD, or you can look at Singapore dollars, whatever, or euro. So now let's make this report a bit dynamic and see how can dynamic reporting be of help. So if now I look at specifically alternatives as the asset class and how alternatives is doing, what is the investment which is made in alternatives. So I've clicked here alternatives, and if you look at that, you see the currency allocation within the alternative asset class, which is in terms of USD, Euro, and pound. You can see how much allocation is there in USD, how much allocation is there in Euro, and how much allocation is in pound. Further, it will also give the risk profile for the sectors where investment has been made using the alternative asset class. For example, here it shows that the investment basically has been made in 3 different type of industries: information technology, funds, and financials, and shows the risk profile of each of this particular sector. For example, if you look at funds, we see the risk relatively lower as compared to information technology vis-a-vis as compared to financials. As far as the fixed income chart is concerned, it's more or less the same, because it shows how, which are the rating types where you have invested your fixed income, and that shows how safe is those fixed incomes. And obviously, it also shows the sector performance for that particular asset class. You can see at the bottom you have the data pertaining to alternative asset class, and here again you can look at which currency you want to look at, for example pound or euro or USD, or specific security if you want to look at, you can look at that. So this basically helps you to drill down to whatever level you want and get the information at a click of. So that's the power of dynamic reporting. By the way, this particular sample representation that we have given, we developed dynamic reporting for a client who had Advent as a third-party product, and the data from the Advent was fetched using the API, Advent API for this particular model. I hope this demo was useful and we were able to highlight some of the advantages of dynamic reporting over static reporting. As I had mentioned earlier, the demo is only a sample representation of some of the features and advantages of dynamic reporting, and we can do many things around this. Let me now move to the Q&A question session. We have received several questions from different participants via chat. As the time is a constraint, we will try to answer some of them, and we will revert back via mail for the balance. I have selected 3 questions right now, so let me go with the first question, and I will request Jignesh to answer those questions. The first question is from a CTO of a single family office. And they have static reporting module in place and are mainly dependent on the portfolio accounting system and has an Excel-based reporting system. So the question from the gentleman is, how does he go about putting a strategy in place for dynamic reporting? Jignesh.
Okay, great. I think this is a great question to start with. Many of the people in family office space do have static reporting in place, so this is a pretty common thing. As for moving to dynamic reporting, you have to ask some questions. What are the goals of this program? What questions does your stakeholder ask? Do you have data to answer those questions? Do you have data aggregation in place? And does it have data quality measures baked in? Answer to these questions will start you formulating dynamic reporting strategy. Then you have to look at your existing technology stack, obviously, because you want to make sure the solution that you put in place goes hand in hand with the technology stack that you have in your organization. And that will help you build your dynamic reporting solution from that point on.
Thanks, Jignesh. Let me move to question number 2. This is from an analyst of a multifamily office. They have multiple sources of data which comes from fund admin, third-party products, prime brokers. How can they go about data aggregation and use dynamic reporting?
Okay. I mean, MFO, they're a little bit different in the sense some of the main concerns around the data security and commingling of the data. They are the important considerations. You obviously don't want your client data to be commingled or accessed by accident. You need to build a solution that has role-based access control. As far as data aggregation part of your question, you need to look at various data formats, whether it's a CSV, PDFs, any other data files. What are the different modes of receiving those data, the frequency, and the amount of data that you're receiving. That will help you design your repository and how you store them. On top of that, you need to implement some sensible and effective data quality measures based on your organizational situation. So be it by asset class or some other variable. So for example, you may want to say, okay, if it is equity, I want this set of rules in place. I want to look at the, probably the sector and then take some data quality measures. Or, if it's a fixed income, I want to look at the ratings, or if I have ratings from Moody's and S&P, and based on that, I have some internal rating system I want to derive, I want to do that. So stuff like that. So that's how, you would go about, aggregating your data and put some dynamic reporting on top of that.
Thanks, Jignesh. Let me take the last question for the webinar today. The question is from the investment management company, and they have dynamic reporting in place for the web module. They want to expand this to other platforms like mobiles, tablets, etc. The question is, can ConvertSol help?
Okay, great. I think that's a great question. Obviously, before we can, I mean, you need to find out the type of experience you want to provide your users. Conversely, we have done many, projects like this where we have helped people make this decision. But the gut of the question that you have asked revolves around, asking this, like, what kind of an experience do you want to provide to your end users? Specifically, because there are a number of ways. You mentioned you have an existing web application. So the options that you have is you can either look at your web application. I'm not sure if it's responsive or not, but make it a responsive. Essentially, that's the technical term that says to fit the same application across various device types, be it your mobile device, your phone, or your tablet, or your typical laptop or desktop. Another option that you have, depending on the answer to the question I asked, is you may want to build a native application. So you want to build applications specifically for the type of mobile device. And depending on the answer to this question, you can plan to either enhance your existing app or build a brand new app looking at the same data. So for the mobile devices.
Thanks, Vignesh. We are running short of time, so I would like to thank everyone for attending the webinar. Just on the last question, obviously, ConvertSol can help you in developing a mobile solution. I apologize for not getting enough time to answer all your questions, but we promise that we will reach out to you one-on-one by email. You can always visit us on www.convertsolution.com and get in touch with us if there is anything that we can help you with at any given point of time. Our next webinar will be in January, and we will talk about compliance solutions for financial industries. It would be great if some of you can join that webinar as well. Okay, with that, I would conclude the webinar on data visualization, static versus dynamic reporting for family office, and thanks again for everybody joining this webinar. It has been great talking to you. Thank you very much.